Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys a little bit about understanding that speed work actually is specificity of training for 1 rep max lifts on your classic lifts. And a lot of people don't grasp that because they see the speed work, they see the conjugate method, the west side method, they see the wide variety of maxes that are done, which are done for a whole host of physical and psychological reasons, and they're like, well, there's no specificity there. And then they see the whole speed work thing and they really don't get it. They look at it and say, well, how's that specific? That's lightweight, it's oftentimes multiple reps, using bands, using chains. Well, that doesn't carry over either. But the reality is that your actual training for your classic lifts, your squat, bench, and deadlift come from the speed work. And it has to do with the fact that particularly on the squat and the bench press, because the deadlift is a different beast, right? Deadlift doesn't require that much technique training. Like, that's a myth. Like, you don't have to practice the deadlift to have a 600-pound deadlift. And I hate to have to tell people that. It doesn't take a lot of technique work. Either you can perform a conventional deadlift or you can't. Once you learn it, you know it. There's no technique practice involved. And I know that upsets some people when you say that, but it's just not a technical lift. It's literally just understanding how to position your hips, feet, and hands, and how to put yourself into scapular retraction. There's no technique. Very, very little. So let's come over to the bench press and the squat here. Has anyone ever noticed that in speed work, percentages are very, very specifically prescribed? And this is one reason that I tell people you don't need to get obsessed necessarily with going so light that you can move the bar at a certain speed. Right? You just need to push it harder. And I know there are certain coaches out there who've come from Westside and they made their name part of it. And one of the things that they do different is they use much lighter work. And that's fine if you're chasing velocity. And I get it, because the velocity of the bar does have its own value. There is a discussion of speed strength. But if we're talking about specificity of training, meaning we want these to carry over and develop a 1 rep max. Notice we do triples. We do triples on the speed bench and we do doubles on the speed box. For people who don't know why that is, because it's been found that when we use the specific percentages, whether it's straight weight or the combination of bands and chains, 3 reps on the bench press takes approximately the same time on the concentric rep that it does to do a 1 rep max bench. Okay? And on the speed box, 2 reps takes about the same time that it takes to do a 1 rep max squat. You guys see where we're going with this? What are we doing with speed work? We are exploding as hard and as fast as we can. What are you doing on a 1 rep max? You are exploding as hard and as fast as you can. That forces us to use a similar bar path and technique to what we do on a max, to a greater or lesser extent. It also forces us to explode and exert maximum force on each set for the same amount of time that it takes to do a 1 rep max. So you are essentially pressing with maximum force. Let's say you do 10 sets of speed bench and 10 sets of speed squats. So each of those, you are replicating the force production and the concentric rep time under maximum force production that you would on a 1 rep max. That has carryover. You are practicing for a 1 rep max. Okay, let that sink in for a moment. You are literally conditioning your body for a 1 rep max by doing the speed work. Here's the difference. You can recover from multiple sets. You can recover from multiple sets. How many people after a speed bench day feel just destroyed and crushed? Probably not. depending on how much supplemental work you did. But you're doing 10 sets. 10 sets. Okay. Well, if we're doing 10 sets, that means that we have applied the same amount of force over time that we would have on a max bench, but we've done it 10 times in a single workout. Do you think your muscle fibers themselves know the difference? Or do you think your muscle fibers have now conditioned themselves to do that? But also, what's the difference? We've induced a hell of a lot more hypertrophy. That's 30 effective reps. 30 effective reps induces a large amount of hypertrophy. It's easier on our joints and on our bones than a max is, though. So what have we done? We've turned specificity of training for a 1 rep max, because it is from a force production perspective over time. Again, time being a big component there. We've turned it into hypertrophy work that's recoverable. What else have we done? We've practiced setting up, arching, digging in, unracking, pulling our scapula in tight 10 times in a session. We've practiced setting up 10 times. Okay. We've practiced setting up 10 times. We've done 10 first reps. We have practiced benching and setting up for the bench over and over and over. It helps us perfect our setup. How about the squat? People are like, well, you know, it's a box squat, but the setup is the same. It means you've practiced pulling yourself in tight under a bar, getting it out of the J-hooks if you don't have a monolift, walking it back, setting your feet up, and you've practiced 10 first reps. This is our technique work. This is our technique work. And the technique on the box squat has full carryover. I've proven it over and over myself. You guys watched me do it in real time. If clients who've done it, plenty of other lifters have done it. Therefore, the people who say it doesn't carry over are provable liars. They might be well-meaning liars, but because we, myself and many other lifters, and I did it real time, vlogging every single workout for a year, you guys watched me add 70 pounds to my squat without really back squatting, using the box squat to build it. Losing my practice on the back squat, yet still walk in and hit a 70-pound PR. If the box squat didn't have 100% carryover, that wouldn't be possible. I shouldn't have progressed like that. I should have regressed. And I'm not the only lifter or coach who's done that or claimed it or said, hey, no, this does work. We've tried it. It works. So every guy who tells you that it doesn't is now a provable liar. That's easily provable. Like, they're clearly lying. Now, they might have good reasons for telling that lie. Maybe they even believe it. Maybe they really believe it. But you guys have all seen the evidence that they're wrong. So if they believe it, they're just flat wrong. Because it's provably false. Demonstrably false. You could literally try it yourself. And then find out that, wow, they totally lied. They're wrong. So the people who make those claims, you got to wonder, what else are they wrong about? Or why are they lying? What's their motive? Because they're either wrong and they don't know as much as they think they do, or they're lying for some sort of gain. But the point is, the box squat does carry over, and you're practicing your box squat 10 times in a session. Okay, that makes you better at maxing. The only outlier being kind of the deadlift, where a lot of times we only do a single. But by that same token, multiple reps, we're really just getting hypertrophy, aren't we? We're not practicing the same technique on a deadlift, because your second and third rep never looks the same as the first on a deadlift. So we could argue from a technique perspective, it's better to just do the one. Right? Better to just do the one. Plus, the technique doesn't matter as much on the deadlift. So it's a little bit different of a beast with the speed pulls. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.